Making measurements. 1.1 Measuring length and volume. So the most important things when it comes to measuring is accuracy. People usually measure things in meter, decimeter, centimeter, millimeters, kilometers, or even micrometers. When we are measuring an object's length, we must make sure that the object must be straight and laid closely to the ruler. So if the object is bent like this wire, then we must make it straight and not curved at all. We must make sure the starting point and the end point is clearly seen to avoid misreading. After that, we just do it normally by lining one edge up against the mark 0 and read the other end for the length. When it comes to measuring volume, people usually use units such as centimeters cube, meters cube, or decimeters cube. For a regular object like a rectangular block, like this one, then all we need to do is measure the length of three sides, the width, the height, and the length, and multiply them together to get the volume. For irregular objects like maybe this rock, then we need to put them in a measuring cylinder like the one below. The difference in volume or the rise in volume is the block's volume. This method is called displacement. For liquid, all we need to do is use a measuring cylinder and then read the scale. 1.2 Improving precision in measurement. There are two ways that people use to make their results as accurate as possible in terms of measuring length. The first one is by using a vernier calipers. It's like the one labeled below here. We use it by closing the calipers first so that the jaws touch lightly but firmly on the sides of the object being measured. Then we look at 0 on the vernier scale with the main scale just to the left of the 0, and this will tell you the length in millimeters. After that, we'll look at the vernier scale, find a point where one of its mark align exactly with one of the marking on the main scale. This will tell you the fraction of a millimeter. After getting two results, we'll add them together to get the final measurement. Similarly, the micrometer screw gauge is used for the same purpose. We need to turn the barrel until the jaws just tighten on the object, using the friction clutch to ensure just the right pressure so we don't deform it. We then read the main scale to the nearest 0.5 millimeters and then read the additional fraction of a millimeter from the fractional scale. After doing that, we will add these two values together to get the final measurements.
1.3 Density. We normally mistaken judging an object mass as a side of it can only help us to notice its volume. Mass is the amount of matter it is made of. Density, or the property of a matter, tells us how concentrated the mass is. Density is a ratio of mass to volume for a substance. A formula is density equal mass over volume. With all the same volume of a substance, you can see here the air, wood, freshwater, and lead all have the different mass. So with the same volume, a substance, the different substance will have the different mass. To measure the density, we can all measure the density of a substance by finding its mass and volume. For the solid with the regular shape, we can find its volume by measuring its size and its mass by the balance, then calculate the density. For a liquid or irregular shape, we can use a cylinder to measure its volume and have to measure the mass by scale, then calculate the density. 1.4 Measuring time. There are two types of timing devices. An analog clock, which is a traditional clock, have two hands move around the clock's face. To find the time, we'll look at where the hands are pointing on the scale. The second type is the digital clock, which gives a direct reading on the time in numerals. For example, 24.35 seconds. On the right-hand side, we have the picture of the pendulum. The pendulum is the time at one swing of the pendulum to go from left to right. That's called period. Other was steady, but one period are too short to measure accurately. You can use a stopwatch to calculate the large number of swings, then do the calculation.